assimilated into Ithongo as if the raindrop water gets assimilated into ocean. So the relationship of a Atman and the relationship of a Paramatman is something like a raindrop water getting assimilated into ocean. And that's why the soul, aim of the human soul, there is a presence of soul, and this has been recognized by most of the ancient traditions, including African tradition. If you go to Australian Aboriginal tradition, very interesting. In Australian Aboriginal tradition, when a mother conceives a baby, that mother or a father, and then the parents of the mother or father. So 6 people will get a dream, and in that dream they will get a picture of somebody, either magpie or serpent or different kinds of, they have some clans. So as soon as it is done, the dream comes, everybody shares that dream, and then the baby is assigned to that clan. For rest of his life or her life, that baby's life, that clan, he belongs to that particular clan and he remains with that clan. So he will never marry a person from that clan. And automatically, at the end of the day or end of the life, that person, that spirit goes back to the same clan for the next cycle of the birth. So this is what Australian Aboriginal thing. We also think that if you do the good karma, your sole aim of your life is to go or achieve nirvana or achieve the moksha. So there becomes a mission for every individual to reach that ultimate moksha or thing. There is another very interesting concept, is the realization or anubhuti. And there is, I will quote a very nice quotation which says that if you want to talk to God, the quotation says, if you want to talk to God, it is very easy. Go to a secluded place and meditate. A time comes when you understand the music of the water flowing through the streams. A time comes when you understand the music of the breeze flowing through the woods. A time comes when you understand the language of the birds, they are talking with each other. And then the quotation says, the best way to talk to God is to keep yourself mum. The moment you start talking, God stops talking. So this anubhuti or realization of the God is a very unique concept, and it is not a out of blue. Recent most is, we all know a name of Swami Vivekananda. His guru was Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and this Swami Vivekananda was searching for God. He used to talk to everyone. Have you seen the God? Have you seen the God? Have you seen the God? Can you show me the God? And he was a young guy, so he was looking for God. And finally he reached Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, yes, I have seen the God. I talked to God, and he could make him realize or have the realization of God existence in couple of decades back. I have seen a similar type of experience by a Native American. I was in Amazon jungle, and there was a village called Bigi Poika. So I asked the Native American there that, do you have any elders or any Native American who really has talked to God or seen the God? And they said, yeah, we have some old people, you know. So I said, how they realize, what is the story of this understanding or realizing the God? He said, you know, these guys, old people, they go on the banks of Amazon, and then they will be there for months and do lot of meditation, and they get rid of their vices and all sorts of prescription, he told me. And finally he said that, you know, in this Bigi Poika, that river, Ankarani, the name of the river was Ankarani. It sounds very Indian name actually, it's a Native American name, Ankarani. And then they said that, you know, when these people want to communicate with the God, this river bed has not many fishes, but a lot of fishes will come, they will communicate with them, and they have a talk and all those things, and they realize that when you start talking to them, they really very interesting experiences of realization they have shared, the Native American. I had another very good Native American elder from Guatemala. I had an opportunity to meet him. We had a program in Houston, and he was answering the question. There were around 300 people, and there were blacks, whites, Indians, Chinese, all sorts of, all colored people were there. God's creation was sitting in the hall. And everybody was asking the question. Finally, one white guy asked him, sir, can I ask you one question? He said, yeah, go ahead. You know, he was sitting like this. This is Mayan elder from Guatemala. He was sitting like this. Go ahead, ask. He said that, why we ask you so many diverse questions, and we feel that your answers are very logical. What is the secret of your answering our questions, you know, straight questions? So this old man sat like this for a while, and then he said, look, buddy, myself is not involved in my answer. That's why it is nice and everybody feels it logical. The moment myself will be involved, I will get a job in Goldman Sachs. Next. So I would like to share some of the, go on. Some of the great quotes about India and Indian culture, what people have thought, and they are all great people. We owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count, without which no worthwhile scientific discovery could have been done. It is none other than Albert Einstein says about that. You go to Mark Twain, he said that India is the cradle of the human race and the birthplace of human speech and mother of history and grandmother of legend and the great-grandmother of tradition. Mark Twain said that. Mark Twain is a good guy. If you look at French scholar Roland, he said that there is no one place on the face of earth where all dreams of living men have found a home from the very earliest day when man began the dream of existence, and it is India. Then if you look at some of the facts which are recently published in a German magazine which deals with the world history about India, it says that India had never invaded any country in the last 100 years of history. 1000 years. India invented the number system, Aryabhatta invented zero, the world's first university was established in Takshashila in 700 BC, and more than 10,500 students all over the world studied more than 60 subjects in that university, which is 700 BC. So it was a huge university there, and they say that when the invaders came and they burned the library, this library was burning for months because so many books were destroyed by the invaders, because they believed that only one book has a right to survive. Rest all books have no knowledge and no right to survive. The University of Nalanda was built in 4th century, and it was one of the greatest achievements of ancient India in the field of education. According to the Forbes magazine, Sanskrit is the most suitable language for computer software, and Ayurveda is the earliest school of medicine known to humans. In Ayurveda, very interestingly, they decide different types of conferences, and it's very interesting to understand how they define that. The art of navigation was born in the river Sindh 5,000 years back, and then the very word navigation is derived from the Sanskrit word called Navagait, which is navigation in Sanskrit, English translation. Buddhayana was first calculated the value of the pi, which was much more before the Pythagorean theorem, and British scholars have last year 1999 officially published the Buddhayana's works, dates the 6th century, which is long before the European mathematicians to understand these things. The largest number of Greeks and Romans used were 106, whereas Indians used the numbers as large as 1053 in old days. According to the Gemological Institute of America, and up until 1896, India was the source of diamonds to the world. And USA-based IEEE has proved that what has been a century-old suspicion amongst academics, that the pioneer of wireless communication was Professor Jagdish Bose and not Marconi. In good old days, it used to happen that people from India used to send their paper, and then the research was published by the European scientists. It's a very blatant example in Marconi, who published the Jagdish Bose research work. There were many other things. Chess was invented. Sushruta was one of the surgeon from India who had done brain surgery in 2600 years back, and like that there are so many things. And then the last thing which I would like to make it, if you don't see even the glimpses of this glorious past in India today, then it clearly means that we are not working up to our potential. The Indians are not working up to their potential, and that if we do, we could once again be an ever-shining and inspiring country, setting a bright path for the rest of the world to follow, because we always thought about human being in totality and human being in totality and total humanity. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I have a very nice cartoon. Indians are genius because they put the railway bogie on a truck and run it, and then they put the truck on the railway track to run it. So we are so much environmental friendly that right in the center of the football ground, we have a tree. We don't want to cut that tree. We play the football around the tree.